There is a lot going on in Texas right now with regard to fraudulent votes, redrawing of congressional districts. Jasmine Crockett is a little upset about it. She's so upset that she seems to have lost her mind. We're going to show you what she said in Congress that's going to just leave you dumber than when you started. But first, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, who is now running for Senate. He's running against the incumbent Senator, Republican John Cornyn. He had issued a press release just a little bit ago, yesterday, in fact, saying that he is doing a sweeping investigation into more than 100 potential non-citizens who voted in the 2020 and 2022 elections. Hold on. I was told that never happens. We all know there's no voter fraud, right? Attorney General Ken Paxton has launched this sweeping investigation. He said illegal aliens and foreign nationals must not be allowed to influence Texas elections by casting illegal ballots with impunity. I will not allow it to continue. Thanks to President Trump's decisive actions to help states safeguard the ballot box, this investigation will help Texas hold non-citizens accountable for unlawfully voting in American elections. If you're a non-citizen who illegally cast a ballot, you will face the force of the law. See, this sort of thing never gets investigated. Most states don't have a whole lot of people that go and investigate voter fraud and non-citizens voting because it's always sort of been written off. It's like, yeah, we figure there's probably some fraud, but most of the time it doesn't make a difference. So what's the point? Well, after the influx of 40 million over the last several years, maybe it will make a difference, especially in a state that's been targeted like Texas, where they really want to turn Democrat. And one of the strategies is to get non-citizens into this country to change the makeup of the state. So it's great that Ken Paxton is looking into this. And trust me, if the initial investigation is for 100 potential non-citizens, this will open the floodgates. It's way more than that. Not only that, but there will be a domino effect in other states. As this Attorney General, often is the case with Ken Paxton, leads the way, other attorneys general will also look at the same thing. This could, in fact, be a game changer. You see, all you need to do is start prosecuting some of these people. And there have been some prosecutions of election fraud over the last couple of months, thanks to these Republican attorneys general. As soon as you start prosecuting people, as soon as people realize that if you do vote illegally or if you participate in some kind of voter fraud, you're going to get the book thrown at you. This is not a victimless crime, and states are no longer looking the other way. Guess what? It's funny how when you prosecute crimes, it becomes a deterrent to future crimes. It's almost like you need some kind of, legal system set up. Let's call it criminal justice, where investigators, police officers, and attorneys actually investigate, arrest, and prosecute criminals. It's like when you do that as a society, then the rest of the people get the message when they think about breaking the law. They say, oh, wait a second, maybe I'm not going to break that law because then I'll be investigated, arrested, and prosecuted. It's almost like that. It's almost like when you take the law seriously, investigate it, and prosecute the criminals, then other people won't break those laws. We should really look into that. That might be a winning formula for Western civilization. So Ken Paxton is beginning that investigation there. Jasmine Crockett, one of the residents of Texas, in fact, a member of the House of Representatives representing a district in Texas, she's not happy about that. She's not happy about much going on in her state. First, yesterday, she had plenty to say about the redistricting process going on in Texas. Take a listen.
Yeah, so first of all, it hasn't quite been said clearly that Texas has always been found to be intentionally discriminatory. And so I want y'all to understand the makeup of my state. The state is a majority minority state. And what this legislature historically has done is what they plan to do again, is to dilute the voices of people of color in order to make sure that they can get to where they're trying to go. We saw this Department of Justice decided to put out a letter, and what did they do? We only have 4 seats that are represented by Black folk, where the vast majority of the people that get to decide who they have represent them are Black. They decided to attack 3 of the 4 seats that we have in the state. They decided to go after a Latina. They are specifically deciding to splinter the communities of common interest, as well as just blatantly say, we are going to dilute minority voices. So we know that the courts, ever since we've had a Voting Rights Act, have always found this state to be intentionally discriminatory. That is what they are going to do. So I need people of color to understand that the scheme of the Republicans has consistently been to make sure that they mute our voices so that they can go ahead and have an oversized say in this. So I fully anticipate that's exactly where they're going with this map. It's the only way to do it. We didn't understand how we got to the map that they gave us last time because that state was grown by 95% people of color. They went out of their way to make sure that we got 0 new seats for people of color. So that's exactly what they're going to do this time.
All right. So let me just clear this up for you for a moment, because I'm sure you're dumber after hearing that. And if you're concerned about being dumber after hearing Jasmine Crockett, I've got a warning for you. We've got a little bit more that's even dumber than that. Let me clear things up for you, just so you know. Yes, the districts are being redrawn in the state of Texas. Yes, it is an overwhelming Republican majority in that state. And yes, just like overwhelming Democrat majority states, they are redrawing it to advantage their party. All right. That's what Republicans do when they're in charge, and that's what Democrats do when they're in charge. In fact, Democrats do it to such an offensive way. My old congressional district in Maryland used to look like a spider having sex with a squid. It was ridiculous. And they gerrymander these things down to the block because they know how you vote. They know how you're registered. And that's what they try to do. They try to maximize representation for the political party that's in power. In the state I live in, it's Democrats. In Texas, it's Republicans. Okay, number one. Number two, I'm shocked, absolutely shocked, like dumbfounded, out of my brain, shocked and surprised that Jasmine Crockett and the Democrats would accuse Republicans of being racist. Aren't you? Aren't you shocked at that? I know I'm shocked at that. Boy, you know, this is probably going to be a really effective rhetorical weapon against Republicans. I sure hope other Democrats don't pick up on this. Boy, it would be awful if Democrats started calling Republicans racist, because I'm sure it's going to be effective. It's going to work. After all, look at how effective it's been for the last, 50 years. God, it's boring. Congresswoman Crockett, Republicans are not interested in muting the voices of people of color. They're interested in muting the voices of people like you, not people of color. Stupid, brain-dead, ignoramus, ineffective, politically volatile, and divisive Democrats. They're done with you, not people of color. Your colleague, Wes Hunt, is a man of color. West Point grad, great guy, Army veteran. He's black. He's a member of Congress from Texas. They're not touching his district. How can that be? I thought they were racist. No, they're not. They just want to shut people like Jasmine Crockett up. That's who needs to be muted. Why? Why do people like Jasmine Crockett need to be muted? Well, I'll tell you why. Because this is the kind of work Jasmine Crockett does when she puts on her smart girl glasses and sits in a committee hearing representing her people in her district in Texas.
When you start to talk about whether or not Sesame Street or anything else that's on NPR or PBS ends up in other places, this is so that there is not this warped thought process about the Western world or about the United States. We're talking about making sure that we don't end up allowing people to be radicalized against us because they have a terrible vision of us, because they may be in a government that actually puts out bad, terrible propaganda about us. When you start.
Okay, so let me just put those pieces together, because you're a sentient human being with a functioning brain, so that probably didn't make a whole lot of sense to you. But I speak Jasmine, so let me just explain what's happening. The debate has to do with USAID and some of the ridiculous money that was spent in your name with your tax dollars overseas. And one of the big ticket items there was the Iraqi version of Sesame Street. And Jasmine Crockett believes that we need to have an Iraqi version of Sesame Street that you pay for, so that radical potential terrorists in Iraq don't think bad things about America. Having an Iraqi Elmo, a Sharia law compliant cookie monster, will in some way help America's image in Iraq, so that we don't have another 9/11. See, Jasmine, this is why they want to gerrymander your district. It's not black voices, it's your voices. I promise you, Congresswoman Crockett, if you were white, we'd still be trying to get rid of you. Honestly, the fact that you're black is probably the most interesting and fascinating things about you. You're an imbecile, and you're divisive, and you're racist. You want more Jasmine Crockett? Sure, here's a little bit more Jasmine Crockett.
Like blue states are constantly putting red states on life support, yet we got these little red states that ain't contributing nothing, but they are definitely taking up a lot of money. You know, it is interesting because the governor in California, I don't know if you caught this, but Governor Newsom was talking about just holding on to his dollars because California is what they call a donor state, meaning that they actually contribute more than they take from the federal government. And then you can go down south to states like Louisiana, who are broke, and so they need California to pay in. So it is so interesting that we are so like.
There you go. So we got these little red states who ain't doing nothing, she says.
Blue states are constantly putting red states on life support, yet we got these little red states that ain't contributing nothing.
Doesn't she represent a red state? Isn't Texas a red state? Or does that not count? But I promise you, Texas and Florida, they're doing a hell of a lot right now to prop up states like Vermont and New Jersey and Maine. Let's not play this game. Trust me, you're going to come out on the downside of this big time. But that's Jasmine Crockett for you. Although she has a point. You hear this from Gavin Newsom all the time about how his state is a donor state. Did you check that out? My state's a donor state. The federal government gets more money from California than everyone else, and we don't get enough, right? Gavin Newsom wants to be president of the United States. We mentioned this yesterday. He is a sociopath and a pathological liar. And he's trying to push these talking points out there to make people say, wow, that sounds so smart and that's so wise. Thank God Gavin Newsom is there representing the Democrats. He's a tough guy. He really is. He's becoming quite a bully, in fact, cyberbullying even. Take a look at what his press office did yesterday on X. You see that they responded to somebody named One Bad Dude. By the way, this is the Governor Gavin Newsom's press office for the state of California, official account for the press office of the governor of California. That means that this is California tax dollars being utilized for the official press office of the governor. And they didn't like that One Bad Dude, whose tagline is "Don't with the USA," with 279,000 followers. They don't like the fact that One Bad Dude tweeted out, Democrat-run states are holes. They didn't like that. So they responded. They responded in this little pithy tweet, just with the word in quote marks, hole, right? And it's these four beautiful pictures of California. There's the famed Lombard Street in San Francisco, although you notice the lighting there it looks like this picture has been doctored. What's with the red streaks going down? And I think the color has been enhanced here, although Lombard Street is beautiful and San Francisco is a lovely city. One interesting thing, if you look at the sidewalk there on Lombard Street, there doesn't seem to be any piles of human feces stacked up. This must have been a picture taken when communist Xi Jinping was there for a visit, because they cleaned up the streets quite a bit in San Francisco. But listen, make no mistake, California is beautiful, or San Francisco, beautiful city. And then this is a picture of Hollywood Boulevard. Again, I mean, I don't know, beautiful Hollywood Boulevard is. I would find pictures of more beautiful parts of Los Angeles, but there you go. You got the El Capitan Theater on the left there. You got the on the right is Grumman's Chinese Theater. You can see the Hard Rock Cafe. And if you zoom in on the sidewalks, it's amazing. You don't see people living in their tents. You don't see piles of hypodermic needles stacked up. It's gorgeous. There you go. It's Hollywood after all. There you go. The Hollywood Boulevard, the Hollywood Strip there into the Hollywood Hills. And then you got this picture, beautiful river. It looks like it might be, I don't know, Lake Tahoe, maybe Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead. Gorgeous. Look at how clean that water is. It's great, right? They're making the case. Oh, you call this a oh, come on. This is a beautiful state. And then you got this last one, beautiful bridge over, I think that's Big Sur in Northern California. Absolutely, undoubtedly, California is a beautiful state. So there you go. That's the governor's office doing some pretty good pushback there making fun of, what was his name? One Big Dude. Yeah, there you go. Except for this. Remember when I said that Gavin Newsom is a sociopath and a pathological liar? Apparently, so is whoever's working in his social media press room as well. Because everything I just showed you, those 4 pictures, they're frauds. John Hassan, a intrepid columnist and investigator over at Town Hall Media, discovered this. Newsom's office tried to prove California isn't a shithole by posting a picture of Sand Park, which is in Nevada. You see, you can search on images now on the web. Perhaps the people in Gavin Newsom's press office should look into this. That picture, that beautiful picture that I thought maybe was Big Bear or Arrowhead or maybe Lake Tahoe, it's Sand Harbor Beach. It is Lake Tahoe, but it's the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe, not the California side of Lake Tahoe. Yeah, that's not California. That's Nevada, who, by the way, has a Republican governor now. Yeah, but there's more. That's just the one picture. Let's look at the other ones. By the way, hat tip to Brendan Carr, the commissioner of FCC, who figured out that picture was from Nevada. I love it when Brendan Carr gets involved in this. He's a stud. Then there's this. The other pictures that they posted are very old. The top left picture is 11 years old. Oh, sorry about that. Here it is. It's a stock photo from iStock. They purchased it off of iStock. It was taken 11 years ago of Lombard Street. They didn't even have a picture in their own press office to point out how beautiful San Francisco is. They had to go back 11 years. The other picture showing Hollywood Boulevard, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Oh, I don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, so I can't show you the proof. But it's from an article printed 8 years ago on Hollywood Boulevard. There it is, right there. Getty Images owns that photograph. And then finally, the last picture, it's Bixby Bridge on Pacific Coast Highway near Big Sur. That is also 8 years old. They didn't have any contact. In fact, Gavin Newsom has only been governor for, I think, 6.5 years in California. So every single one of the pictures that they put out, the 3 of California, were when Jerry Brown was governor. And then the last picture is actually of a neighboring state, not even of California. This may be the greatest social media fail of all time. And as John Hassan points out, they probably should have used Governor Ron DeSantis's poop photo of San Francisco. You remember the poop map, where you could figure out where human feces has been spotted in the streets of San Francisco so that you can dodge your way through as you walk through those beautiful streets. Yeah, that's Gavin Newsom. That's his press office. And that's an utter fail. Good for them. Between Jasmine Crockett in Texas and Gavin Newsom in California, we got a whole lot of lying, pathetic fails from Democrats today. And if we can't laugh, well, then we're crying. So I hope you're laughing along with me today.